We are here at Blogworld. This is Brandy with Spark Plugging. I'm here with Des Walsh of Thinking Home Business. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks,
good to have
Brandy.
you. Yeah. We were just talking a little bit about how challenging it is when you're in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have an assistant.
Yeah.
But hey, when you work at home, you don't. I mean, you have you, yourself, and I, and maybe a virtual assistant if you're
Yes.
lucky.
Yeah.
So how do you surf through all those things that are important and kind of sift out all the staticky, non-important things?
Okay, great question. I think, Brandy, it depends a bit on what kind of person you are. I mean, different people have different strengths, and I've known people who are marvelous organisers. Everything was just in its place. And if you look at some of the studies or some of the theories about birth order, if they say firstborns are, well, I'm not firstborn.
Right.
I'm a middle child, and I kind of get by.
You've got issues, right? Middle child.
Yeah. So I've got over most of them, I think. I hope. But I'm not naturally that kind of organised person, although I like to work in an ordered environment. And I believe that you can read all the blogs by the efficient organisers, and one of the things that I personally believe is that some of the advice is given by people who are natural organisers. So they kind of don't feel it. And I don't know whether it's like alcoholics understand alcoholics better or something.
Right.
But, if you're a bit messy and a bit disorganised, sometimes it's hard actually to take time out to get the desk looking, being a civilised place to work,
right.
not a bomb site.
Right.
And to not have stuff stacked up on the floor beside you, because if you're working from home, by definition, you're probably your own boss, and you don't have someone coming around telling you to get a bit of order, and you can put stuff off because what you're working on is really interesting, and you have to learn the disciplines that previously the organisation provided for you, the framework. As you say, previously you were in a situation where someone did some things, and it might have been doing the accounts. So you had the expenses and you handed those to some clerk, and then that was all dealt with. Whereas when you work at home, you need to make time where you say, I have to do this. Like I knew a guy who was a handyman. Is that an expression you use?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Handyman.
Absolutely.
He made his living as a handyman. He had a truck and he went around and he fixed things that were falling off houses, and he did a bit of painting here and all those things that, and he was absolutely religious in his practice of every Sunday evening he did his accounts. Every Sunday evening, and he was a very disciplined man. But during the week he didn't touch them. So that's was an example to me that it's a good idea probably to put time aside, because I don't find doing the accounts interesting. I find that when I get into it, I like the idea of getting the order into it, but I have to allocate the time. Similarly, one of the things that I think we as home-based professionals often let ourselves down on is R&D, research and development. And one of my coaches said to me and some others in a program once, we really need to have a day, a week, he said, but make it a day a fortnight, even at least a day a month, which he called the lab day. Which is, I'm putting this time aside and I'm going to do research. Not always doing research just for a specific project. I've got this project and I've got to do some research. Because often you do that under pressure, and you're often just pulling in stuff from other people, but it's not necessarily letting the real creative juices flow. But imagine how you could actually transform your business if you said, Monday, second Monday of the month, whatever works for you, second Wednesday of the month, if the Monday doesn't work, whatever. But a day you treat like an appointment with a client who's going to pay you lots of money. Because in the long run, this is going to pay you lots of money. Because you are going to be ahead of the game of anybody in your field, because you're doing the R&D, you're allowing your own creative juices to work for you.
Right.
So many of us could go into this kind of way of life because we got sick of being bossed around, we got sick of the 9 to 5, we wanted work-life balance, and people with families particularly wanted to, people like the idea, a lot of people I know love the idea that they can be working and one of the kids can come in and have a bit of a chat, a bit of a play, and they know their mum's working, so this is just a little privilege for a while, you know,
Right.
hopefully.
Right.
So that's another whole story, Brady,
Right.
and I'm not expert on that.
That's true.
But I'm
That's
sure there are
true.
other people you can get. But that's a real issue, you know. What do you do when you've got a project ready and the child comes in and wants your attention?
Right.
A project has to be ready tonight, tomorrow, whatever
Right,
it is. You know?
right.
So that's why sometimes home-based people who are also parents pull, you know, long night shifts
Pull,
and stuff,
yeah.
and that can have a roll-on effect of running down energy levels and so on. So lots
Right.
of disciplines we have to learn if we want the privilege of being our own bosses and being able, as you know, I like to go to the beach, you know.
Right.
You know, but that's usually in the morning. I don't go to the beach in the middle of the day usually. I mean, every now and again we'll just take a lunch break. We'll go out and have some lunch elsewhere. But
Right.
that's not the common thing. We do the beach in the morning. That's the exercise, it's the fresh air, it's the getting set for the day. But I really recommend this idea of putting a day aside. If you can do it, a day a week would be fantastic, because then you can say, I'm just going to have some ideas today. And you turn the phone off, don't go on Twitter. Stay away from the
We
email.
love Twitter here
We
at
love
Blogworld.
Twitter. Stay away from the email. You know, this is a day, and you treat it, as I was saying, like an appointment day with a big paying client.
Right.
You say, you know, this is really crucial for my long-term financial viability and profitability. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect
You
sense.
know, I mean, the only time I've ever seen heard anybody recommend that was this coach of mine who's a great guy in California. And if anybody in California or anybody anywhere wants a great coach, richardreardon.com,
There we go.
REARDON. He's a marvelous man, and I've learned so much from him.
Excellent.
And that's the other thing, get a coach.
Absolutely. Get with someone smarter, knows a little more. Great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. If people want to find you, how can they do that?
They can do that. My name is Des Walsh, DESWALSH, and they can get me on Twitter as Des Walsh if they're on Twitter. On my blog, I've got the two blogs. ThinkingHomeBusiness.com has a contact page on it. There's a tab for contact. My other blog is deswalsh.com, DESWALSH.com, and that's also got a contact page on. Just send me a little message and I'll try and get back to you promptly. Or
Excellent.
email deswalsh@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Pretty simple.
Thank you very much. This interview has been sponsored by Spark Plugging and Epson. Thank you.